Woo! Getting this thing out on some smooth road is just fantastic. Talk about getting to use the whole rev range and the whole gearbox. What I appreciate the most about the SCL500 is how quintessential Honda it is. Honda has been the brand of introducing people to friendly motorcycling for decades now, and that entire personality and ethos is injected into this bike. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. We've been spending the day out with the all-new 2023 Honda SCL500. This bike is an awesome bike for someone who's just looking to get on a motorcycle. Something that is going to be fun to ride in the city, in the canyons, slow, fast, it looks cool, and I gotta say, it's a lot of fun, and it gets back to the pure heart of motorcycle riding. So let's take a quick look around it and go out for a ride. Honda has been expanding its 500 class of motorcycles to really embrace every sort of rider and get something that works for just about everybody. We have the Rebel 500, which has kind of been the classic go-to starter bike. Then we've got the CBX 500 for more of an adventure look. We've got the CB 500R if you're a little bit more of a sporty boy. We've got the normal CB 500, that's kind of more of just your straightforward standard bike. But now we have this, the SCL 500. Same engine as we get on the rest of those, but arguably one of the best looking. That's what this bike's really going for. It's going for really good appearance, but also some of the best general usability. So you can see we've got tires that have a little bit of actual knobbiness, not quite like off-road style knobby, not types that are gonna interfere with your on-road riding, but just a little bit more to take care of broken up asphalt, maybe a little dirt on the street, or a little bit of wetness. We've got some of the kind of classic scrambler aesthetic here with the exhaust that comes up, although it doesn't come all the way up from the headers, so you'd still beat it up if you were doing some sort of off-road riding. You can get kind of covers to make that a little bit more approachable, but really you're going to want to look at the CB500X if you're going to be doing some actual off-roading. This is kind of more just to look the part. And a few things I really like about it compared to the Rebel 500 is the seating position and the fact that we have a passenger seat. The Rebel 500 comes just standard single one-person seat, and your feet are more forward, you sit lower. The SCL 500, you sit a little bit higher up, your feet are right below you. It's a super relaxed seating position, and couple that with the very narrow tank and some of these pads that are both aesthetic but also functional. This makes for a really comfortable, upright and approachable riding stance for both a beginner or someone who just is experienced and wants to hop on a bike and zip around town. Another thing I really appreciate is that we've got ABS standard. So some good brakes, ABS coming standard. You don't have to pay a little bit more in order to get those. I really appreciate having that. It is a simple bike though, so you're not getting things like rider modes, you're not getting things like adjustable brake or clutch, and you're getting a pretty rudimentary screen here. You don't even have a tachometer. That's about as bright as it goes, and you're just getting your basic information. You got a clock, you've got a gear indicator, your digital speed, some fuel economy readouts, and fuel remaining. So it's simple. We've even got a cable actuated throttle, which I quite appreciate it. It makes for a raw, simple riding experience, and that's what we've experienced so far today. So let me throw on the gear, let's go out for a ride. You can see the SCL500 comes in two different color options. We've got this nice matte green, this is the one I've been riding, and then also if you feel like standing out a little bit more, a very pretty metallic orange color here. Nice sparkle to that. You also have a lot of different accessories that Honda's already got ready to go, one of which being a little bit larger, taller seat here. It's got a nice kind of brown look. In fact, I think it looks really sharp with the green and the brown color combo right there. A little bit taller, about an inch taller. It's supposed to give a little bit more squish. You can see here's the standard seat, kind of dips down just slightly. That one goes up a little bit taller. I think if you're above about 6 foot, that's going to be where you want to go. And then this bike's got a lot of the accessories as well. We've got these little bits come right from Honda, the hand protectors. We've also got the spot where the top case would go and this whole rack that you can throw on there, and then a little bit of a side bag. So a lot of ways to make the bike functional in various different ways and to make it look a little bit different, but even right out of the box, it's a sharp little bike. Should say passenger accommodations, maybe not quite as comfortable as you might hope, although obviously better than something like the Rebel 500. These pegs sit pretty high up. The passenger seat is nice, but in order to clear this exhaust, you got to get your knees way up. So if I'm riding passenger back here, doing a little bit of a squat, I feel like my legs are going to cramp if I'm going to sit back here for a significant amount of time. Key goes in on the side, something to get used to. You can see our nice bright LED headlamp there. Looking good. And we are off. The approachability and the riding ease of the SCL cannot be overstated. Bopping through a little bit of a kind of through street right here, hitting these speed bumps. Suspension is entirely unadjustable, which I think is perfectly fine for this type of bike, because if I were to tell you to, dial up your preload a little bit or something like that, or get a little bit more rebound in there, is someone who's just hopping on a bike for the first time even going to know what that means? I highly doubt it. I mean, unless they're really familiar with suspension tuning in some other sort of setting. So I think it's good to just have a bike like this that kind of works, even if it's a little bit soft right out of the box. It's going to provide a more enjoyable and approachable experience for people hopping on this bike for either the first time in a long time or maybe the first time ever. Getting right up here on the highway to begin. This 500cc motor is just enough to really get you up to speed quick and easy and let you hang with whoever you need to hang with. I mean, unless you're running with some real fast boys who are going to be hopping well over the speed limit, this will do it for you. Being a naked bike without a windshield, I am getting quite a bit of wind hitting me, but because it's unbroken wind, it's actually decently quiet. I'm able to sit here, talk with you all, and not feel like I'm screaming over the wind coming through into my helmet. Getting into some of these twistier bits of road, you really feel how, despite having a larger front wheel and tire than some of the sportier sort of bikes, we've got a 19-inch on the front, a 17-inch on the rear, the SC is still very intuitive, very extension of the body feeling to lean right over and happily kind of upright carve through these corners. I have found myself scraping a little bit of toe, not quite peg yet, but you got to make sure to keep your toes up and off the pegs, and then you feel it laying it over on the side every now and again. But again, a lot of approachability and predictability. And at the end, the biggest thing is the satisfaction you get back and forth and kind of laying the bike over on one side and then laying it back over on the other. There's a lot of simplicity and satisfaction in achieving some of that. And having the pads up there on the front of the tank allow you to kind of grip in with your thighs and really get the bike and shove it around where you want it to. Here's where we're experiencing a little bit of the snatchiness there. The throttle, I'm in second gear, and if I'm coasting into a corner and then I get back on it, it yanks you back and forth. But that's sort of the classic feel of a throttle actuated cable. A cable actuated throttle is, there is no computer filtering that for you. It's a real mechanical connection to your throttle body, and I like that. Getting stuck behind some of these trucks here just goes to show you why having a simpler sort of bike like this that allows you to have fun at lower speeds is sometimes more enjoyable than having something that's big, fast, and capable. If you were on a big sport bike through these corners, you'd be so bored. And don't get me wrong, I would like to go a little bit faster, but I'm comfortable and I'm still feeling like I'm having a good time, even though I'm not lighting up these corners. The engine isn't what I would call thrilling from a sound standpoint or anything, or even from an outright power standpoint. We're looking at about 46 horsepower, about 32 pound-feet of torque, and it makes those torque figures pretty smoothly right through the middle of the rev range. So very linear, very predictable power. It's essentially just 1 degree off of electric sort of power in its kind of straight acceleration, if you will. There's no peakiness, there's not really even much character to it. It simply directs the bike forward. But for a lot of people who are either getting back into riding or getting acclimated to riding, there's enough character going on just in the fact that you're riding and motorcycle like this that you don't need an engine that's spunky and has weird torque dips and peaks and power surges. You're having enough fun just experimenting and experiencing what a bike like this is, that the predictability of an engine like this is plenty okay for you. And on top of predictability, you're going to have the predictable reliability of this engine, knowing that very simple maintenance, oil changes, chain maintenance, and you're just going to have a bike that starts up in the morning and gets you to where you need to go, no surprises. There's something so frustrating about owning the type of bike that if you don't get to ride for maybe a few weeks, all of a sudden you get a beautiful afternoon to go out for a ride or something, and you go out and the bike needs something. It's dead, or there's a maintenance item that you forgot to do, and that has to be addressed, and all of a sudden there's half of your afternoon spent working on the bike rather than riding it. The beauty of having something so simple like this SCL500 is it's just going to be ready for you to go ride. Also important if you're using it for some sort of commuter style bike. You don't want to be late for work because your motorcycle wouldn't start, or you don't want to have to be taking up regular evenings doing maintenance on your bike just in order to use it to get yourself to and from the office. There's what the rev limiter sounds like. Pretty subtle. It doesn't slam you into it the way you might be worried it does. Sprightly. That's probably the word I'd use for this bike. Sprightly. It's the simplicities of motorcycle riding wrapped up into an affordable and accessible package. That's what the world needs more of. Save yourself all the money over something like a Triumph Scrambler. Get yourself something like this, and then take that extra money and put it into travel costs, days off of work, fuel, food, and go out and ride. Get some Honda accessories, get yourself a box, some bags, a backpack, a tent. You can see a little gravel here. Fortunately, I've got those tires with a good bit of siping. It's going to be prepared for something like that. Not going to throw me down quite as easily. Something we don't have but is pretty easily remediable is adjustable clutch and brake levers, and they're both a little far away from my hands for my preferences. So I think if I owned one of these, I'd be getting something with some adjustability there. And the seating position allows for a lot of different methods or ways of riding, if you will. You can either get right up on the front tire, grip the tank with those pads, and force the bike around where you want to go, or you can sit back and relax, be near the back elements of the seat, and still be comfortable and maneuver this bike around effectively. The brakes, if you're coming off of a more expensive bike, are going to be a little bit something to get used to. When you hear the phrase wooden being used for a brake system, this is about what you should be expecting. It will slow the bike down, don't get me wrong. There's no shortage of stopping power at just over 400 pounds. This isn't exactly a heavy motorcycle, but you don't get the confidence that you would from a more expensive bike when you first lean into the brake lever. It's like, oh, the bike is changing, but it's not exactly yanking me back. And I mean, you've only got single disc in the front there and one in the rear too, so yeah, the good thing is you can just squeeze them, and you got ABS, so if you're in any sort of panic situation, that's going to help you keep the bike upright and slow you down faster. But the braking experience in general goes along with all the rest of the bike, and the way that it feels simple, and I don't want to go as far as to say utilitarian, but it's down to the core elements of riding a motorcycle. I'm not watching my speed. I'm not watching my engine speed. I'm simply looking around, looking forward, and letting the bike be an extension of me. And I really like that. It's cool getting to ride with a group of people on the same bike outside of our buddy Case there is riding an NC for some reason. But you can see, even from Big Rock Moto right there, the way he's sitting very upright. His feet are kind of canted forward a little bit. His torso is so nice and proper and upright, though. Yeah, Speed Boys. Woo, getting a thing out on some smooth road is just fantastic. Talk about getting to use the whole rev range and the whole gearbox. Because that torque builds pretty low down in the rev range, you don't often find yourself being way out of line with what gear you're in. If you're cruising along in 5th or 6th and all of a sudden you want a little bit of twist, you want to be able to accelerate, maybe you're a little bit of a newer rider and you're not up on top of staying in the exact perfect gear every time, this motor allows you to kind of make those, not mistakes, but just not be perfect. And it's very forgiving. There's still that twist and that grunt pretty much wherever you need it. It's also worth mentioning that you can stand on the SC. It's nice being able to stretch your legs out or get over speed bumps, or if you're doing a little bit of off-roading, kind of give yourself a little elevation. Wow, the suspension does really get hopping around. If you're a heavier sort of person, you might have trouble with the bike. Or if you're planning on doing any two-up riding and actually going out and doing something sporty at the same time, the shock really does like to bounce. The rebound's pretty high there. What I appreciate the most about the SCL500 is how quintessential Honda it is. Honda has been the brand of introducing people to friendly motorcycling for decades now, and that entire personality and ethos is injected into this bike. Their whole 500cc lineup is like that. If you want to be kind of a sporty aesthetic, they've got that for you. If you want more of a cruiser, or if you want more of a very standard plasticky bike, they've got all those options for you. But filling in this scrambler sort of look is going to appeal to a lot of those people who want the aesthetic and the raw experience of riding a motorcycle, but they don't want a lot of the cons that go along with it, and they want the approachability. It's all right here. A lot of different body styles are going to feel good on this bike. A lot of different riding styles are going to feel good on this bike, and a lot of different aesthetic styles are going to feel good on this bike. You can customize it. You can set it up to your preferences, or just leave it exactly how it is out of the box. I think it's really cool for Honda to be giving us a product like this. And if you've been curious about getting into motorcycling, if it's maybe something you've done before and sold your bike a while ago, you had kids come into the picture, or a life situation, and you're like, man, you know, I'm really thinking of getting back into it, here's a perfect opportunity for you to do so. It costs a low enough amount, being about $6,800 or so after destination, everything. Let's just call it a $7,000 grand. Let's just call it $7,000. You can go out and get it. Either you finance it for something really low, or just you buy it. And if it sits around a little more than you'd like, it's not the end of the world. You're not shelling out $14,000, $15,000 for something that looks the same but comes from a different brand and costs a lot more. A bike like this SCL500 allows you to just focus on riding, and that is fantastic. What a great little approachable product, and again, just getting back to the ethos of riding. I mean, this is an motorcycle through and through, and really happy that Honda is continuing to lean into this marketplace. They're expecting, I think, about 70% of returning riders picking up this bike and about 30% new riders, and I really do think it's a great option for all of them. I've always been kind of interested in this class. I've ridden a few of these sort of bikes now, but never been a huge fan of the Rebel 500 because of the lack of the at least native passenger accommodations, and then I'm just not much of a cruiser fan. But this styling does it for me, this packaging does it for me, and I think it's going to do it for a lot of other riders as well. So thank you all so much for watching. If you're curious about the bike, let me know in the comments if I can answer any questions for you, or head down and pick one of these up for yourself. They're in dealerships now, and tell them you want an SCL500 or any of the other 500 bikes, it's really going to bridge a lot of gaps for people. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, motorcycle on.